So welcome to this week's FWA review with a difference. I'm here with Anne-Marie Batson of the BBC, TalkSport 2,
absolutely,
renowned women's football expert. And this week we're going to talk about women's football in particular, ahead of International Women's Day, for example, tomorrow. But also looking back on England's fantastic campaign out in the US last week at the SheBelieves Cup. Anne-Marie, you covered it closely. What do you think?
Fantastic for Phil Neville and the team at the fourth time of asking, because of course this is an invitational event, the SheBelieves Cup, held out in the States. Now, as I said, the fourth time of asking, England bringing home a trophy. And of course, it's nearly been a year since Phil Neville's taken on the job, and his brief is to win tournaments, and that's exactly what England did in that final game when they played against Japan.
And of course, bringing home trophies. This is a great one. It's a friendly trophy, but the big one's coming up in the summer. How good a preparation was this for the Women's World Cup?
I think this was fantastic preparation. I think for Phil Neville, it's an opportunity to see who works well together and what his final 11 is going to be, because we actually don't know who his best 11 is because he chops and changes it so much. And I think the way he does that is to actually keep the players on their toes, so nobody's guaranteed a safe spot, I should say, in his team. But I think it was fantastic prep for him to look at the goalkeepers, look at his back four or back three, the midfield, and who he's going to have up front. I have no doubt though that Nikita Paris, her name will be on that sheet for sure, because he tends to play her more in an up front. But we saw Frank Kirby come on the other day, which was fantastic, and also for me, as a couple of other players that really stood out. Ellen White stood out for me. Beth Mead stood out for me as well as two players who I think have got great potential already, but they're going to play an important part in the World Cup.
Now, talk us through the tournament. They started off with Brazil, and we all know Brazil's quality, certainly in the men's game, but the women's game as well. They've been pioneers for a long time. And that was a great result to start with, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic result to start with, because of course Brazil carry that tag of being one of the best teams in the country. But of course Brazil at the moment, they're actually below England in the world rankings for the women. So it was a great surprise that England were able to beat them 2-1, and there were goals from Ellen White and Beth Mead, who I've just mentioned. So it was a really good start because it built up the confidence of the team. And of course they went on to play the USA.
Current world champions.
We are current world champions. They're the #1 in the world rankings for the women's football as well.
And hosts.
And hosts as well. So to play them in their own backyard, to end it as a 2-2 draw, fantastic result.
And coming back from behind twice to sort of, show some resilience as well. That's important, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And as I mentioned, Nikita Paris got on the scoreboard as well, but a great free kick. I don't know if you've actually seen it, from Steph Horton, who literally curls it around the wall, and then it just lands into the back of the net. Absolutely fantastic.
Fantastic. And then the final game, which wrapped up the trophy against Japan, 3-0 win, really wrapped up early in the game, wasn't it?
And Phil Neville made 8 changes from the USA game, and as I said, he did talk about that he wants to keep the players on their toes. He doesn't necessarily have a first choice 11 that he wanted to play. So there were teams, or I should say there were players, who actually hadn't started before any of these matches. So it's fantastic to see, for example, Lucy Staniforth on the team sheet. She got a goal, which was after about 12 minutes in the first half. But my favourite goal, that third goal in the second half from Beth Mead, when she got it into the back of the net, a Kira Walsh, absolutely divine cross that went right across the pitch diagonally, met by Beth Mead and into the back of the net.
So what's your take on the sort of coverage it's getting? I mean, we at Haters, we've just launched on Haters TV, we just launched our own women's channel, and Sam Miller was out there for us, and a selection of some of the best football writers of covering women's football were there as well. How do you feel it was perceived back here in the media?
I think it was received really well. I mean, the BBC have been running with the SheBelieves Cup now for a couple of years, and they put a lot of time and effort into it. And I think there was a lot of interest in the games as well. I mean, they were on at times on the TV at reasonable times, late in the evening or so. But I think in terms of the coverage, fantastic to see Susie Rack writing pieces about it and various others as well. I think there was a lot of interest in it, purely because I think it's the World Cup year, and people are really keen to see how well England are going to do, particularly for Phil Neville.
Yeah, I mean, we were speaking to Fran Kirby, and she said the growth of interest after the Women's World Cup in Canada was palpable. Suddenly she was getting more attention in the street. The game just seems to grow. So this summer could be absolutely crucial, couldn't it, to the growth of the game, certainly here.
Absolutely, of course, when the WSL, the Women's Super League, restarts this weekend, of course, and then England have got more friendly matches coming up. We know that they're going to be playing Canada. Canada are ranked 5th in the world, and England are ranked 4th. That's in April. And then they've got some more friendlies in England, and then they're straight into the World Cup. So this is going to start rolling forward quite quickly, and there's going to be a lot of momentum and a lot of focus on the players. And
of course, with a summer where you haven't got a men's World Cup or Euros, you haven't got an Olympics, it's going to be a big focus on this, isn't it? It's on the BBC, as you say, and previously we've seen that, you know, it does capture the nation's imagination, particularly if England do well.
I think this is actually, I'm not going to say I believe this is a key year for women's sport in particular. We've got the tennis, of course, and you talked about the Women's World Cup. We've got the netball as well at the World Cup in Liverpool, literally all falling after each other. So I think there's going to be a lot of focus on women's sport this year.
You believe, she believes. So back to the talk. How much confidence will it give them? And if you like, how much justification is it for Phil Neville? Because obviously his appointment was pretty controversial at first, wasn't it?
It was a pretty controversial appointment, but I think, you know, he's delivering. I think the fact that he's keeping the players on their toes. You don't know who's going to be in his 11. He wants results. And apparently I read that in the half-time in the Japan game, even though England were ahead, he absolutely went off on one because he still felt they were making sloppy mistakes. So he wants perfection on 110%. He wants 110% effort, but he wants perfection as well at the same time, which shows how driven he is. And he wants them to win cups. He wants them to win trophies. He wants them to win tournaments. So I think that he's got a very driven mentality. He's very ambitious, and he wants to see that from his players.
And obviously he's got that from a certain Sir Alex Ferguson, that he worked under, that driven mentality, that never let go, never let up sort of mentality, and the successful, the trophy winning mentality as well. So, you know, whatever his background or his experience in the women's game, he's bringing a lot to the table, isn't it?
You're absolutely right, and you can see that. I think that's a great way to describe it. He has that winning mentality from being in Sir Alex Ferguson's team, and he's talked about himself. He was never a player that was always in the first 11. He came off the bench, and that's what he wants from the England team. He wants good players on the pitch, but he wants a strong bench as well. And if you make a mistake, you're going to know about it as well. He wants absolute perfection and drive from his players, which I think is great, because England, they're one of the best ranked teams in the world. They need to show that on the pitch, and he expects that from his players.
Now, we saw in Russia last year with the men's team that England went way beyond expectations, and a lot of that was down to a fantastic team spirit that Gareth Southgate fostered, and the players really bought into that. There were no superstars, they were all mates together, a lot of socialising, quite a relaxed atmosphere. It was the first time, certainly as a covering men's World Cups for many years, you know, it was the most relaxed and happy England camp I've known. So how close is Phil to getting that sort of atmosphere around the women's camp, and how important will that be?
I've been to a couple of the media days actually at St George's Park to meet with the England players and chat with Phil Neville, and he's very sure in his mind. He wants camaraderie, he wants teamwork, he wants everybody to look after each other and keep everybody's back as well. And he talked about, there was a big story in the newspapers a few months ago, that there's a WhatsApp group that when he's not with the players, he's in constant daily contact with them. And you can see that on the pitch actually. There's lots of camaraderie, there's lots of friendships there as well, but they all want the same thing. They all want to win a tournament, and they all want to win a trophy. So if you have that common goal, you want to work together quite closely. You can see that on the training pitch for sure.
Now, we mentioned Fran Kirby. She's part of the team. I remember a lovely pass in I think the USA game for the second equaliser. She was our inaugural Women's Footballer of the Year at the FWA last May. We started putting our heads together thinking about this year's winner. Are there any candidates come to mind already?
It's a really good question actually. I think Fran Kirby's going to be on that list for sure. But I'd also actually put on there Beth Mead and Nikita Parris. I think Nikita Parris is my personal favourite. I think she's been fantastic. She delivers every single time. She's somebody who is trusted with the ball, can score. She's got so much passion and drive as well. You can really see that. She reminds me of Wayne Rooney in that way, just like a real fighter with the ball. So for me, I think she'll be on that list. And as I mentioned, Beth Mead and probably Fran Kirby, they're my three at the moment. But then it could all change after the World Cup as well. But that's exciting, isn't it? Because you're going to have so many options to choose from. Fantastic.
Brilliant. Well, Anne-Marie, thanks for your time, and hopefully we'll revisit this soon. Possibly next time might be more build-up to the World Cup, and then perhaps celebrating another England trophy. Thanks for watching.